before we start talking about this, you may want to review exactly what this thing here means when it's saying that a straight line has equation of y equals mx plus c. So if that is new to you, then you may want to look at the videos on straight line graphs for this to make sense. But just to quickly recap, you've got the m is the gradient, and the gradient is the slope. So this could have, let's say, a gradient of 1, which means when you go across by 1, you increase your y value by 1 as well. And a lower gradient, let's say this one, when you go across by 1, you go up by 0.5. And that would be having a gradient of half. So this would be m equals a half, and this one would be m equals 1. And the c value, the y-intercept, tells you where the graph, where the line cuts the y-axis, which would be this value here. On this one, it looks like it should be 0, and if I were to draw one parallel to that down here, for example, then the c value here could be something like -2. So the c value is where it cuts the y-axis. So let's have a look at some of these lines and see how we could draw them. So the first one has a gradient of 1. It's the thing in front of x. So the thing in front of x is just 1. So that means that m would be 1. And the +8 refers to the plus c. So we know that the c must be 8. Now, by drawing that on a graph, you can see that it's this top one here, because it has a gradient of 1, which means when you go across by 1, you go up by 1, and it goes through at 8. So it's quite straightforward. The second one was talking about y equals x plus 3. This has the same gradient, and if it has the same gradient, we know it's going to be parallel, because if it goes across by 1 and goes up by 1, then it's going to have the same slope. So these two lines will be parallel. If the gradient is equal between two lines, then you know that that is going to be parallel. And the c value here, the c value is 3, and that is shown here because it goes through at 3. And it says describe the translation that you would move x plus 8 onto x plus 3. So how do we change this line into this line? Well, it's simply moving down. We could say moving left and right, I guess, but it's really looking for up and down. It's moving down by, because it goes from 8 to 3, it goes down by 5. So we would say that because it's going down, we wouldn't necessarily write going down by 5. Instead, we would put it into what's called a column vector. The top number refers to how much it's changed in the x direction, side to side, and it hasn't changed at all. So we'll write a 0 here. And then the bottom part is how much it's moved in the y direction. And it's moved down 5, so we would write here -5. And this is what's called a translation vector. So we know that the graph has moved down by 5 and it hasn't moved side to side, which would be shown in this way.